Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neeley Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Hello, everybody. This is Steve Akeley, and we are back doing one of our Chatting With episodes. It's a special week this week where I am replaying some of my Chatting With show, which was just free-form interviews, no questions prepared in advance or anything like that. Just hit record and go. This one features Royce Neeley. Here you go. Enjoy. To Chatting With. This time it's Royce Neeley. Hey, Royce, how you doing, man?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Good. So this is our brand new show that we've got exclusively for subscribers that we literally have a conversation. And how this is different than our normal interview is that normally there's preparation. I create questions, of course. We run them by the guests to make sure they're okay with them. And I always say, and I think we do interviews better than anybody, but there's going to be some bleed over. It doesn't matter who is interviewing the person, because there's a certain story that you have to tell. If you're interviewing somebody that owns a distillery, you're going to ask them how they got started and, you know, what products they have. And that's going to be across anybody doing a podcast. And I always felt like, you know, what if two people just had a conversation, just two people just chatting, talking. And I thought that would be a heck of a show. Freeform, that it could be as long or short. It just depends on how the conversation goes. So you're the first guest, and I think that's appropriate, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you and I are pretty good buddies, and it's all comes from the bourbon business. Do you remember the first time that we met?
I do, yes. It was at the Limestone Branch Festival, actually.
Yeah, so you and I were there. You were set up. What were you guys doing out there? Doing cocktails, or what exactly were you doing at that festival?
Yeah, we were slinging cocktails at the time, and I think Paul Tomaszewski from MB Roland come over and said, hey, just so you know, there's a pretty big podcaster that's inside, set up beside the stills inside of Limestone Branch. You can probably get some free airtime if you head in there right now. So I made a beeline in there because I was looking for any free press I could get then.
Right. So, you know, the first time I heard of you, this is the first time we met. First time I heard of you, actually, we talked about you on the Bourbon Show one time. So there is, we do a segment, of course, when we do the interviews at the end called News. And literally we would go through, Jeremy Schell is the person who does this, but he goes through, you know, online stuff and articles and stuff like that. And the one article was about Neeley Family Distillery. And I got to go back. We got to find that sometime because it was confusing. Now you have to. I hope this isn't offensive, but as he reads this, it's like 10th generation Roy Neeley and family open up this distillery to talk about Roy, and you know he's 10th generation. Talk about you being 11th generation, and it talks about how you're going to be the master distiller. It has everybody's ages in there, even too. Roy was 50 years old or whatever at the time. And you were 25 or something like that. And it's like, wait a second. So they're opening a distillery and they're into the moonshine, and Roy is the 10th generation. Why is he not the distiller? So I didn't understand exactly how the company worked. And I wouldn't know that till later, till you and I met that day at Limestone Branch.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty wild, huh? Oh,
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but we got to go back and find that and hear exactly what was said during that. So that'll be interesting to dig up. Well, we need an intern though. I don't have time to go back through all those shows because I don't know what show it's on. I have no idea. You have to start at the first show and start listening and see if it's in there. So
that was back That had to be back around. Well, it had to be right after 2017, like midway through 2017.
Okay.
I don't remember any article being posted about us until after we actually opened the doors up.
Okay. That might help narrow it down some then. So
there was some weird ones at the beginning. I've never appreciated. I mean, you know how writers and some journalists are, but some guys would just come in and they'd either read what somebody else has wrote, and there was like 3 or 4 articles at the very beginning that were kind of confusing. Like one of them even named somebody else as our distiller.
Yeah,
it was
great, isn't it?
Contract client of ours.
Yeah. People don't do their homework. No, you're right. They turn to the internet, they look at what else is out there, and then they, without even talking to people, sometimes cobble something together and they get details wrong, which is amazing. But that's because being a part of the media, doing what I'm doing, is easy. I mean, you literally, you can have a website where you can post blogs and stuff like that. You can get a $20 a month, package where you can podcast, and all you need then is a microphone with your computer, and that's you're in the business. You're a bourbon media person then. So, and that's the coolest thing about bourbon media, and it's also the worst thing about bourbon. It's at the same time, because it does entry to access is easy, which allows a lot of great people to get into it. And there's a lot of great content being created. There is, but it also allows a lot of bad content to get out there, and it's confusing. It's got to be difficult sitting on your side of it, because there's so many different podcasts out there, and I'm sure you'd like to talk to everyone that's a good one, or every blog that's someone who really takes it seriously. But who's got time to go through all those and figure out who's good and who's not? You almost have to wait for them to bubble up and rise up by doing other things till you can really trust them, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, there's been several of them that have reached out and asked, like, "Hey, you send us a sample? We'd love to have you on this." And I mean, you got like 200 followers, and I don't know anything about you. And no, I'm not going to send you a sample. I don't know anything that you post. I'm not going to take a chance to be ripping on my stuff or anything else, because you're just trying to create some type of content until I know what you're about. So
yeah, you got to be careful, because how do you get to a point where people know you? You got to create, you got to do the self-promotion, and some of it could be just bashing on brands. And some people try that. You do see that, where, the more controversial you are, the louder you're speaking, via social media, the more attention that gets turned on you. And so yeah, sometimes at the expense of brands, people are trying to become famous enough where they can get this following that helps them, achieve their goals, which, stepping on you and your company and all the hard work you put in, to me, that's not the way you should ever do it. But I do see people doing that stuff. Yeah,
I do as well. But, it is what it is. And I'm sure we'll get one of those one day, and we'll ignore it and go on.
Yeah. So, our friendship, it took a little while to get going. I mean, you and I, like I said, we met at that thing. I loved your story. And I had you on another podcast meeting. We were doing that bourbon history show then, and you came on and you talked about, moonshining and your family history and all that in doing that 11 generations. And that was, really cool. And then I came out to your distillery for the first time, and we did a series of interviews for that. It was like you and
5 of them.
5 of them. Okay.
Yeah. My dad.
Your dad was on one. Remember, he was real nervous.
Oh yeah. The 15th, that was around that time.
Yeah. Yes. So, but we had some fun, and I certainly liked what you were doing. I thought the products that you made were great, and it was the start of a friendship, I'd say, at that point. But what really got us was our the person who really truly made us friends was our buddy Dick Stoll, right?
Yes, that was the first time we really hung out. We decided to just take a cross-country trip to go see him and spend a lot of time in the truck together. And yeah, it's a good time. That's when we developed the going to Key West for the Distiller Summit. I was on that trip.
Yeah, that turned out to be a huge thing. And we just had fun. So this all came about. We interviewed Dick Stoll. for the Bourbon Show. And, I said I had an interview with him, and you were like, I got to talk to that guy. He's a legend. And, so we had you come on. You weren't normally, you've never actually done it again, where you were a host of the Bourbon Show. But for that show, you were. It was you, me, and Jeremy, I believe, the three of us that interviewed Dick Stoll. And, some of it, if you go back and listen to that thing, and that's available on our subscription service, so you can go back and listen to the Dick Stoll interview, and you hear some of it. You're using the Bourbon Show just to ask questions for things you needed at your business side. So you got into a little bit of that stuff there, didn't you?
Yeah, I might have been using you a little bit.
So, but at the end of it, then that's some of the best part of doing what I do too, is the interview is always great and we love that, but sometimes that's the conversation afterwards. Once we turn the recorder off and we're just talking, and we did that with Dick Stoll, and he was like, he certainly took an interest in what you were doing, and you were very interested in what he did and his knowledge, and he kind of opened the door to hey, give me a call, and maybe you can come up and visit, and or we can talk more. Call me anytime if you have questions. And sure enough, you call them like the next day, and it's like a Wednesday, and you call me and say, hey, Dick Stoll said I could come up on Friday, can you go with me? I'm in St. Louis at the time. I'm not hanging out in Kentucky or anything. So, and of course I always had things planned. I canceled some plans. The one thing I always say to the team is we never cancel shows. If we schedule a show, never ask me, are we still recording on Friday, or are we still recording on Sunday? Because I say we don't cancel. But that time I did. I had to cancel the recording of the shows on Friday, and then we were free to go. So I had to drive up to your place, and then we got in your truck and headed to Pennsylvania.
I learned about your favorite pastime on that trip, which is cold calling or prank calling other people from the industry.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, boredom allows for that kind of stuff. You just start calling people, and yeah, it's fun.
Calling people. It was pretty fun. Learned about the sock on the door.
That goes back to my college days. When you live in a dormitory, or we had an apartment, and we were two people to a room, the courtesy thing was to, if you were entertaining someone in the room and you didn't want your roommate to come walking in, you would just hang a sock on the door. That way you're not even pounding on the door, open up, anything like that. That means please go away. So I said, life on the road, if there's a sock on the door, so I tested it right away. Royce said he had to go get some out of the car, which, by the way, was booze that we were supposed to be giving as a gift the next day. And we decided there wasn't enough alcohol, or no good alcohol, in Pennsylvania where we were at, Lancaster area. And we decided to start drinking the booze we were going to give away. And I hung a sock on the door. And I'll be damned if you didn't come strolling right in. Yeah.
I go to the courtesy booze. I come back to make a drink, and there's a sock on the door. So I'm just supposed to sit in the hallway.
You make yourself, scarce for a while. You just walk around, and yeah.
Thought for a second, I said, three's a party.
So yeah, well, luckily it was a test. It was like the national broadcast system where there was a test, and it was only a test. And so we just had goofy fun like that, the whole time. We're laughing the whole damn time, and then. Shoe fly pie. Neither of us have ever had shoe fly pie, and we decided that we're going to go get that before we have to go see Dick Stoll before our scheduled appointment. We're going to try to find this shoe fly pie in Amish country, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And that was an adventure, wasn't it?
Yeah, we ended up finding it. What was the other thing we got? Root beer.
Well, yeah,
homemade root beer.
That homemade root beer was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. It was really good.
Yeah. The shoe fly pie was really good too. It was just a little strange how it went down. It went down. We're walking around, and this man comes and is like, "Here you go. Here's some shoe fly pie." Yeah, and I don't know. Royce was freaked out by the whole thing, and why is this guy handing me pie? And I don't know. I didn't think anything about it. I'll take pie all the time. I just went around. I've sat in. They got those nice rockers. I grabbed my shoe fly pie and sat down in a rocker, and I felt at home there.
Yeah.
Freaked out. Was the guy poisoning you? What's going on? Like, no, not a big deal.
He just happened to hover around me.
He was hovering. Yeah, he liked you better than he liked me.
Yeah, you could say that.
So, and we're still, our dream one day is to find a barrel that tastes like shoe fly pie, but we haven't been able to find that yet. And that's a name that'll fly out the door. There's the shoe fly pie barrel, but it hasn't happened for us, has it?
Nope, not yet. I'm sure it's out there aging somewhere in the Rick House.
Yeah, you can't force it. We can't just slap that name on there. It has to actually taste like it. And that's been key, because you could slap it on anything, be like, oh yeah, that's a shoe fly pie taste. And I'll tell you what, most people probably haven't even tried shoe fly pie, so you can probably get away with it. But we're not going to do that. We're purists.
Yeah, purist.
Yeah. So of course, met with Dick Stoll, and I just found that interview, by the way. So I've got that.
Oh, good. I'd like to have that.
Lost it in the archives for a while, but I found it. It's like 3.5 hours long. This is all video. It's not all audio. It's not video at all. But it's interesting. I mean, I listened to some of it, and gosh, it was good, hearing him and telling all that stuff. And gosh, he just remembered everything, considering he hadn't worked at Michter's at that time in over 30 years, to recall pH levels and all this kind of stuff that you needed. It was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's actually not a bad idea, honestly. You got the audio from that. To reach out to his wife and see if it's okay, but I might play that on a loop, reoccurring in the yeast room.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Boys come in and they're showing it to him. They could actually hear him talking about some of it, which would be pretty neat.
Yeah, that is a good idea. I like that. I could edit that for you, where we take out anything that doesn't apply, and it's just Dick Stoll, question to Dick Stoll, answer, question, answer. And
yeah, like I might do that actually. Obviously, all that would be good for that yeast documentary that we've been planning for like 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. My mind, it's electric, man. There's so many documentaries I want to do. Gosh, I need to learn what Bo does, and I'll just go crazy. You'll never see me again because I'll be too busy working on documentaries. I just love that stuff, man. The one I'm thinking now, and again, I want to do documentaries on all the big players that that are living legends. Jimmy Russell and Fred Noe and Bill Samuels Jr. All these would be great if you're a fan of bourbon, you want to know more about these people. All those are document worthy. We want to do the running on the log. That would be one we want to do. A yeast documentary. We want to do that. Toddy Beam, the guy who started that liquor store in Bardstown, I think he was a character. And the liquor store is still there. And the guy who owns it now is a bit of a character. He's a curmudgeon. It's just like you can't even believe that there's a business where the guy hates the industry and everything sucks. And I hate distilleries and nobody sells me anything. And if you're going to heaven, he'll tell those bastards to sell me another barrel. They don't ever sell me any single barrels anymore. The guy. To me, that's fascinating. So I want to do, Toddy Beam, and then get into the liquor store and what it's like today, and the guy that owns it today. I love that kind of stuff, man.
That's good content. I didn't realize there was a guy that was located in Bardstown that's just ripping on all the distilleries around him.
Oh yeah. But he owns a store. The store is very successful. It's an interesting place. Have you've never been in there?
I've never been in it, but I've seen the sign.
Yeah, it's cool. It's not in the original location, so it did move. And I don't know if Toddy Bourbon, I keep saying Toddy Bourbon because I know a Todd Bourbon, but this is Toddy Beam, and I don't know if it moved while he owned it or this other guy moved it, but it'd be interesting to dig into that. And he was a close relative of Steve Beam, so we have some firsthand accounts of what he's like. We talked to the guy who sold the store. I don't know, man. I need a bourbon channel where they just unleash me to create the content for it, because I would watch that all the time. If all these documentaries are on, there wouldn't be one of them that I wouldn't watch if I was a viewer. So that's why I want to make the stuff, because it's not out there. That's the best way to create things, when it's something that you want and you just create a need for it. And do other people interested in it? You hope so. I think they are, but let's create it first and see. So yeah, we'll see. Molly Bumble would be a great documentary.
I know. Oh. You got all these, like you said, there's podcasts and bloggers and writers. Now there's a magazine, multiple magazines But there's not, there's a couple of different documentaries. You've done 2 of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, 2 of the 4 that come to mind. But yeah, I mean, these like mini series and different docu-series on just different prolific people in the industry where you can physically view them and listen firsthand accounts and things that people have probably never heard before. That's never been done. That'd be a major way to make a market, make your place in the business. That's for sure.
Yeah. We even have a TV show, a scripted TV show that's fiction that we created. And of course, we need to go back and revisit that. Things evolve and stuff like that. But I wrote a whole season worth of episodes for the scripted TV show, and some of it's really good. Probably need to refine, some of it, but yeah, it's kind of it kind of blends like real life and fiction, because it's almost like, the Larry David show that he does for HBO, because it's Larry David playing a character named Larry David, who in many ways is very much like Larry David, the real person. But in reality, there's also things that aren't like Larry David, the real person. So we were going to create a show around you very similar. So it would be like that, and just kind of around adventures and fun things in bourbon. So maybe one day we'll do that.
Wasn't my brother-in-law supposed to be starring in that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was going to play like a rube that really wants to learn the business. Basically, we're going to be making fun of him on every episode. So
making fun of him the whole show.
He wouldn't know it. We'd be like, "This is your chance to be a star," So yeah, that would have been cool. But we'll see. It still may happen. You always think, it'll never happen. But the first documentary, Kindred Spirits, I had that written. That was done. It was written. I had no idea how I was going to make it. Matter of fact, it probably never was going to get made in reality, because I can't make movies myself. But then somehow, some way, things just happen. And I meet a filmmaker named Bo Cumberland, and we make that movie, and it comes to life. It's cool. It's like what you do with. I'm sure you have. I see you carry around a little notebook. I don't know what's it. Maybe I'm going to steal that sometime and see what's in there. But is it ideas for products and stuff like that in there? What's in this little notebook you carry to write in all the time?
So it's ideas for everything. I don't like using my phone. So for anybody out there that listens to this and says, Royce Neeley never writes back my text messages, I probably have 100 unread text messages on my phone right now.
Yeah.
I try to go through them. I get a ton of them. I'm sure everybody else does as well, but I get a bunch of text messages. So the notebook comes into play. I don't like using my phone. I try to do the notes and stuff on it, and then I'd forget to check the notes. So I have this notebook I pack around, and it's literally for everything. It's for, hey, make sure to invoice this guy for this, or hey, we done this today, and need to make sure this is entered in this report, and buy corks, but it also has stuff for products on it. Yes. So ideas I come up with or anything like that, I get wrote down, and then I can never forget these things.
Right.
It's cool because I go back weeks at a time and see shit that I've wrote that I'd forgot about that I can then bring back up. And I'm working on differentiating some of the business. It's becoming too overwhelming for me, so I'm forcing some of the people that work for me to take over some of the tasks that I do daily and have been doing for the last few years that they should be able to do, that don't need to occupy my time to free me up to do more important things.
Right. Yeah.
That also occurs in the notebook, because what I'm learning is when you give somebody else a task, the big deal then afterwards is to make sure you follow up with them to make sure it's done and completed correctly. And sometimes that could take multiple times as well, following up with somebody to make sure it's completed.
So is the notebook broken up into sections if we open this up, or is it just an ongoing list? It's just a line, and then things get added to the line. So there's no sort of organization to this. It's just random.
All right. It's my thoughts.
Is there ever like a grocery list in there, like pick up milk and
no
hot dog buns?
No grocery list. Becca does all the.
He doesn't buy the groceries.
I know you didn't. I know you don't cook, Royce.
A reminder to pick up milk.
Yeah, I know you don't cook, but I would have thought occasionally you would actually buy groceries. You don't do that?
Not a chance.
Oh, I'm a freak about this stuff because I love the grocery business. So, and it goes back to the thing. When I was in college, I wanted to be an ad guy. I wanted to write ads and stuff like that. I love the marketing of products, consumerism, and there's no better place for that than the grocery store, because and what I loved about it is, there's huge national brands. And what fascinates me is, hot sauce. You've got Durkee's hot sauce or Frank's hot sauce, these big brands that are Tabasco that are across the United States. But then you've got Royce's hot sauce sitting next to it. And I'm like, how does this guy get them on the same shelf that Tabasco's on with all the money they've got behind them? And it's all marketing and stuff like that. I just love it. I still love going to the grocery store and seeing that. So I like doing all the grocery shopping myself. So it's just because it's the marketing and what's the packaging look like and where's it go? Is it on the bottom shelf? Is it on the top shelf? And how much space do they have? And I used to work in the grocery business. My job was to go in and you talk about a brutal business. You think the liquor is brutal, not compared to the grocery business. My job was to go in and get as much shelf space as I could, and I had a checkbook where I if the grocer is willing to let me, I could buy their stuff and take it off the shelf. I'm literally buying stuff all the time and clearing the shelves and putting my product in its place. So it was interesting.
Yep, we've done some aggressive things like that. I'm not going to name where we've done them at. Of a major brand as well. I didn't do it personally, but I okayed it through a distributor of mine. And that aggressive campaign worked.
Yeah.
We're placed all over the state of Indiana.
That stuff does work. Absolutely. We heard your lovely wife there, Becca, chime in. She's around? Oh, yeah. There she is. She's in the studio with you. I didn't know.
In the studio.
Yeah, she just walked in.
She just walked in. Yeah. So when you come up with a new product idea, is it something that there's a timeline in your mind, or do you have things that you might not work on for the next 5 years?
So like, let's say, that Pat Leonard's Revenge, the 4-year-old Bourbon moonshine.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't think anything about the aging on it. I was trying to, I'm like, I want to let it age longer. And I mean, we're talking 2 years ago. And then about a year ago, I said, hey, we're close to being bonded with this product. And I did some research on it. I'm like, this would all qualify for a bottled and bond. So then that's when I pushed it to that bottled and bond moonshine. And normally when it comes to new products, this is kind of old school, I guess, but I take a piece of printer paper out and I start writing down my ideas on it at the time. And then I tape them up on the window. There's a big window that overlooks the distillery in my office.
Yeah.
Do that because if I'm ever sitting there and I get creative ideas come at different times, I can grab that piece of paper down and take off. Because there's literally times I'll be sitting there and I'll be thinking about it, and I'll grab that paper and I might write the entire paragraph that's going to go on the back of that bottle, the entire story about it. I've done this. And I mean, you see me like when I designed the absinthe label, I was sitting at my bar on FaceTime with you, just drawing it out. That's how literally every one of my products have come. They all come from my mind, and then I send them over to a graphic person, and they make it look professional.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. How close are you to having a bottled and bond moonshine? What's timing wise?
It's bonded in September, so we're like a month away from it.
A month away, yeah. Oh, that's going to be wild, isn't it?
I really want to launch. I mean, the Mountain Distillery is going to be. It's going to be something else. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be incredibly authentic down there with what's going on with it. And I just don't feel like it's right to launch this bottled and bond moonshine up here at my distillery. I want to launch it when we open the Mountain Distillery,
where Pat Leonard himself would have been making this stuff. Yeah. So that is pretty cool. Would be exclusive to the Mountain Distillery, or I think it should actually. I mean, you see this like with Heaven Hill. It's like they've got the Evan Williams experience, and then I don't know, 20 miles away they've got the Bourbon Heritage Center, and there's things that you can only buy at the Evan Williams experience. You have to make that drive. You got to go to the other one. And even though it'd be like, well, as long as you're here, shouldn't you be able to buy that too? And it's like, nope, you gotta. I think maybe you keep that one separate and force them to go down there if they want to try that.
And we're going to be years away before we ever have this bottled and bond again. So that's the other thing I'm trying to figure out is how I'm going to price this to where I can have it hang around for a little bit, because I have a feeling that it's going to sell out incredibly quick.
Right. Yeah.
But, it's going to be years and years before we have another bottled and bond moonshine, but we will be releasing a 2-year-old straight moonshine. I'm not sure if I'm going to call it a straight moonshine or what, but, it'll be a straight barrel-aged moonshine that'll be coming out. It'll be 2 years old, and all that product will be made at the Mountain Distillery.
Oh, that's cool.
So everything that we have is going to be aged.
Yes. So at the Mountain, there'll be no, you won't have any unaged moonshine?
We'll be selling it, but it won't be distilled there.
Okay, gotcha.
Just to let the distilled there on the Mountain Distillery. The oldest way the most authentic way that moonshine is probably going to be made in the country will be aged there on site.
So it'll be aged there too. So yeah. Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, it depends how much of it we end up making. And I mean, I honestly have plans to probably drop in a bigger still there to where we can strip and finish on the same, the same week, but we'll see.
Do you want me to help you go to Maker's Mark and we can grab that decommissioned still while it's still just sitting outside?
I've honestly, I thought about even before I read Quick Bourbon Notes and stuff about it. It's hard for me to wrap my mind. It was a post you made yesterday, actually, what Quick Bourbon Notes.
Yeah, it was in the Whiskey Corner. I did that. So yeah, blog.
Yeah, Whiskey Corner. It was a great write up. It's wild to me that Maker's Mark, the place is as beautiful as it is, they wouldn't have figured out that this still would mean something to people to look at these. I don't know why on the back of the property they would not have had, and they should have done this years ago with these. But you can always start now. A still graveyard.
Yeah, right. There's that museum in Las Vegas, and I haven't been there. I have to go there. I don't think you've been there either, even though you go to Las Vegas a lot. But they have a neon sign graveyard of all great old Las Vegas. They kept those neon signs, and I just want to see them. But the still thing would be cool too. I mean, yeah. I as a consumer, I want to see that stuff.
Well, if I'm the guys at Maker's Mark, I'm kind of putting that up front and center. I'm going to put each little still. They're all going to be in their same area, but they're going to be together. All these parts laying there. Probably turn them into flower beds, but have them turned over. People can see in them and kind of tell them what each part is. A sign around each one. But then the history of that still, as in it was in use from 1980 to 2021. It's estimated to have made this many barrels during that time. And these product lines were made on it, and this change happened while this was in use. And there's so much cool stuff you can put there that people would love to know about these old decommissioned stills. It's just send them to the damn scrapyard.
Right. It's really kind of offensive. But and they've got plenty of room too. It's not like, well, where are we going to put it? No, there's plenty of place to put it at Maker's Mark. They've got plenty of land. That's what's cool about that place. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the management of Rob and Bill. They seem to like art and things like that. But history, not as much. And the reason why I said it again, not knowing those guys on a personal basis, but they let their old site go. I mean, why didn't they buy that old T.W. Samuels distillery site and do something? Again, you're talking Beam Suntory money. They got the money. Oh, why not create some sort of visitor experience or that you could tie in? There's so much history there. I don't know why they let that go, and now someone else has it and they're creating a T.W. Samuels distillery site thing. I don't know.
Yeah, the problem with the new one going to be is they can't say anything about the history of it really, or they're going to get sued by Beam Suntory.
Yes,
had Beam Suntory and Maker's Mark been able to buy this other side, they could have actually done it some justice and been able to put all the real history there and talk about it because they own all the brands associated with them.
Right, but imagine this. So here I am. I'm going to be the brand ambassador for Beam Suntory, and here's my pitch: why you should buy T.W. Samuels. We'll go there, and basically what's happening there now. They're creating a hotel and stuff like that where you can stay. There's like a bourbon bar going to be there, and then there's going to be a small distillery. I would say we do all. That's what I would pitch that we did, and then we can bus people back and forth. We have buses running continuously between this place and Maker's Mark, and where you can experience both. And we're basically locked down their money. Now, if someone comes into town, they're not going to Jim Beam and Heaven Hill and Angel's Envy and Neeley Family Distillery. They're going to spend their whole weekend at Maker's Mark. And you know what's going to be created at that little still? It's not going to be wheated bourbon. It's going to be back. We're going to try to recreate based on because they do have bottles of the old stuff. They can get old mash bills by using those old bottles of whiskey and create a rye secondary one and say, hey, this isn't Maker's Mark and this is why we got away from it. But try our old cowboy whiskey and see what you think. And people would eat that shit up. That would be just on a small scale. Still, not you're never going to be a second Maker's. It's a tourist thing. That would. Hey, this is Steve, and you're enjoying our special Chatting with Week of the Bourbon Daily. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neeley family distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neeley at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neeley Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeeleyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
This is Bob. I'm in Ohio. You're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Can you hear that?
Yes, you're at your house and it's getting worked on right now, right? So you're getting some of you're continuing to get the thing built, but yeah, I can hear it. Yes.
Is it too loud?
Nah, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, they're working on the trim downstairs, and I was hoping they would be in the very bottom part, but it looks like they moved to the second floor now.
Yeah.
So
the show is chatting with, so it's it's a conversation. Sometimes the conversation takes place where someone's getting some home improvements done. So that's what happened today.
It's all the awards. We're in the studio and they're hanging up the awards.
Hanging up the awards. Oh, nice.
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So much gold.
Yes. Yeah. If I'm the Samuels family, I would have wanted to do that. And I'm sure the old mash bill is probably like a classic 75, 13, 12, the 13% low rye. But they've apparently still got the family yeast.
Right. Exactly.
So I would have, that would be really fun. Even if here's the thing about it, even if it would have sucked, people would have bought a lot of it.
Right. You know what your biggest expense would be? You would need to get a bunch of those cash counters for all the money you're making from this place if you had both of them. That would be your biggest expense, investing in those. And other than that, you're good.
Yeah, I've never seen one of like a Brinks truck cost, but yeah, they probably need one of those.
They probably need a Brinks truck for I don't get it because things like the Bourbon Affair and stuff like that. Bill Samuels would take a bus, and of course it was empty at the time, other than they do had some on-site storage still happens there. So there's some barrel storage and stuff that happens, but it was basically just an abandoned place. And Bill Samuels would talk about that and his family history and stuff. All that could have been created there on site. Have Bill record all that, and it would just been an incredible. It's just a true lost opportunity. I think. I don't know why they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, like I said, the new people aren't going to be able to do it justice because they can't do any of that stuff there.
Right.
They'll be sued.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Who knows what they can say? I don't even know. I mean, it seems like if you touch on any of that stuff, they'll come after you. But
I'm surprised
that's truly the history. It's like we can't erase history. We can't be like the T.W. Samuels never existed here. Yeah, they did. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at Castle and Key; they had to rename Old Taylor. You look at log steel. They can't even call it Dance Crossing.
Right.
You know, I'm surprised that this T.W. Samuels thing is even going to get away with being called T.W. Samuels before their suit.
Right. Yeah. They got that classic sign there too, which is cool. And I hope that's got to stay up. And, but yeah, so I don't know, but it's going to be a fun thing to see as it evolves. And, you know, I don't know where we're at on all this stuff, because there was another distillery that was supposed to open, same type of thing, all, you know, hotels and restaurants and all this in Claremont, and the Claremont distillery. But, you know, did COVID knock all this stuff down? I have no idea. Again, this is another conflict with, you know, Beam Suntory, the Claremont distillery, much like T.W. Samuels. These are, you know, big time attorneys that can stop things. I don't hear anything about either of these projects right now. Not much. And is there litigation going? I have no idea.
Yeah. It's unfortunate too. I know you and I have talked about it, but like, I don't know how much of the Dant product line that Heaven Hill actually sells.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a bottom shelf, pretty much a rot gut whiskey that they make. I mean, it's a lower on their totem pole.
Right.
How cool would that be for Log Still to actually be able to call it Dance Crossing again and make JW Dant bourbon there?
It would be cool.
Call it JW Dant bourbon. I mean, that's what, you know, it's an unfortunate thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd love to see, because again, it's not a flagship product for Heaven Hill by any means. They're, you know, they do have a lot of flagship products, but JW Dant is not one of those. And I don't know. I mean, you know, talk to Wally Dant, and there's got to be a dollar amount that satisfies both of them. And, you know, I don't know. Yeah.
It's not telling what Heaven Hill's dollar amount is, though. I mean, not that Wally ain't got deep pockets, because we know he does. Still,
right.
Still, I mean, it's not telling what the dollar amount is.
Yeah. So, and I wonder what the play on that is too, because you've got Max Shapira. Is the play to talk to Max, or is the play to hold out and wait till the kids take over? So he's got his daughter and his son-in-law, or I don't know. I don't know who the next generation. There's a couple relatives that are in line to take it over when Max retires, and you know.
If I'm Heaven Hill, I guess after I get done suing the dance right now, the next thing I'm doing is probably waiting for them to do all the hard work and get the brand, the building, and everything done, and all of it up and going, and tourism going there, and it's starting to get profitable. And then I'm going to make them an offer they can't refuse and purchase it.
Oh, wow! Nice.
That's what I would be trying to do. I'd be trying to merge, buy a majority share, merge into it, and I would take my Dant name over there and take it from a $13 bottle of bourbon to a $130 bottle of bourbon with some of our top shelf stuff we got.
This is true.
But if I was Sazerac, I would have also already bought Castle and Key by now too.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And as Castle and Key, you know, continues to stay in business, but not necessarily thrive, you know, is that going to happen at some point? I tend to think it will. And
yeah,
for consumers, it would be great, I think, because it would become back to Colonel Taylor's Castle. It would be, you know, the old Taylor would be brought back, and all that history would be able to be incorporated into the castle. You know, you don't really get that now, and it would be cool to have that, I think.
Yeah, if I'm Sazerac, I'm dropping everything else that Castle and Key's already done over there, and I'm moving my old Taylor product line back to there. So I'm rolling all the barrels are going to be old Taylor, and I'm gonna take that back to that distillery if it was me. Right. And I'm going to find some big name distiller to hire to put in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I that would be cool. And yes, moving forward, all the Colonel Taylor is distilled there, it's aged there, and that would be a very cool thing.
Well, Sazerac is notorious too for hating the KDA. Everybody knows that. They're not a member of the Bourbon Trail, although everybody in Kentucky, although they do play well with all the other distilleries in Kentucky.
They do, yeah.
For what it is, Buffalo Trace plays well. The company's Sazerac's a little aggressive and a little, you know, standoffish a little bit, but Buffalo Trace, Barton, they play really well. But as a company for Sazerac, I've got Barton, I've got Buffalo Trace, I'm buying Castle and Key, I'm calling it the old Taylor Distillery again, and then I'm creating my own 3-tiered bourbon trail right there.
Yeah.
You know, and at that point, you never really have to leave, you know, my distilleries. You can fly in, come down there, and we'll take you on 3 of the most historic tours you'll ever go on. Right. And that's all you really, you know, that's what I would be trying to do if I was them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes back to that thing again. A shuttle service between the three would be, on their part, would be something that should be done.
I mean, at that point, it becomes worth your time to almost invest in a hotel as well to put people.
Right.
It's a one-stop shop. You fly in, we pick you up at the hotel or at the airport. We take you to the hotel, and then it's 3 days or 4 days of touring through our distilleries where we control where you spend all of your money at.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard in Louisville that someone bought a building and they're converting it into 12 different Airbnb type of apartments, like full scale apartments, different sizes. So depending on, how big your group is, that's the one you rent. But then also in the building on the first floor of the building, opening up a bourbon bar. To me, that sounds like a great business. I mean, again, you've got the people there. If it's in a great location, you're drawing people from outside, but you've got your base of the folks that are staying there as their home base bourbon bar. I don't know. It sounds like a pretty cool business to me.
Yep, it definitely does. Yeah, I've contemplated the idea as well. I mean, we're in a spot here where we're at midway down, essentially from the B line to Louisville, right at the midway point between the two of them, where we could, we're a major stop for everybody that's traveled because we're midway through, so you have time to stop and, you could take some time out, out of the car and everything. But we'd be a big spot if we put 4 or 5 Airbnbs on site. I'm sure we would keep them packed all the time for people going through the trail.
Yeah.
Of course, we've also got Belterra Casino down by us that would help as well.
Yeah. Recently, you and I had a conversation that you didn't like, where I stated you were in the middle of nowhere, and you're not in the middle of nowhere, what people might consider the middle of nowhere, because you're on a major highway and you're in between two big cities, Louisville and Cincinnati. But there's just nothing around there. But again, that could be your greatest resource, because literally it opens up to you to do anything to build activities. You're talking about maybe of something, a gun range or a restaurant, or you've talked about bourbon bar, you've talked about the Airbnb thing. There's a lot of different things you could do that again could help you retain more of those tourism dollars too.
Yeah, I never really thought so. I did take offense to it. I did get kind of. I mean, there's no lie to it. I verbally attacked my wife after the show. I'm like I run things around here like the Godfather, right? So you don't go against the family ever,
right? But I just feel like, because you're in a town called Sparta, Kentucky, and name your second favorite activity in Sparta, Kentucky. There's nothing there. Name your first favorite restaurant in Sparta. McDonald's, Subway.
Yeah, and I'm like,
there's really nothing there. I mean.
I'm 5 to 10 minutes outside of Sparta as well. I'm not even in downtown Sparta. Thank God I'm not. But I've never considered, because my location is so, everybody that talks about our place says, the location is unbelievable. Location is choice, which it is.
Oh yeah. It's a great location.
Yeah, but it is. I do see what you're saying. It is. I've just never thought of it as being in the middle of nowhere, because I draw so much organic traffic off the interstate.
Right.
So, and I could get tractor trailers in. We're a mile off the interstate. Of course, we took a loss. It's not a major loss. It would have hurt a whole lot more back in the day. But when I say back in the day, I'm talking 3 years ago. It would have hurt a whole lot more losing the racetrack then than it does now. I do more now on a weekend than I did during the NASCAR race when it was running. Yeah. So it ended up becoming more of a headache than what it was worth. Now, I still wish it was there. Don't get me wrong. And we'll see what happens. It's a $120 million state-of-the-art racetrack. They're going to do something down there. I don't know what it is yet. And they're not really in a rush because it's COVID, and they're making money just with storage. They're just trying to survive like everybody else is. All this crap is continuing to go on. But it would be better for us down there if they start doing some small things, like maybe 6 or 8 of them throughout the year. Hot Rod racing show, or they had like Hot Rod magazine come in. It brought like 200,000 people to that.
Right.
They did like the air balloons out there, and they did letting off the lanterns one time, and all this cool and an import car show. All this different stuff was just really neat. That would help us more than just that giant, massive amount of people that come in for 3 days and then leave. Because I can only cycle so many people through my distillery.
Yeah. That boy, I would love to see the receipts. When that place was at its biggest and best, most powerful. What they would take in over those 3 days, because I heard even like camping sites they were charging for a camping site, just whatever your space is. I don't even know what the size of a camping site is, like $500 a night. So all those people, plus all the concessions that they buy, plus the tickets to the event, plus all the merchandise that they're buying. And then because again, everything's contained. They're buying their food from you. They're, unless they're buying at the camping site, it had to be unbelievable.
I heard the licensing from NASCAR, that NASCAR paid them $10 million to hold the race.
Wow.
That was just right off the top, right at the very beginning. It's $10 million. That's what you get for allowing NASCAR to hold the race there.
Yeah, because they're getting all the TV revenue and all that kind
of stuff. They're getting all the advertising money.
Yeah, advertising and yeah. So it's just it boggles your mind. You think what I'm doing, I'm grinding it out. I made a $1.32 off this ad that was on my in the Bourbon Zeppelin. You get commissions off of products when they click on things and buy it. And oh cool, I made a $1.32. These guys are tens of millions of dollars, and I'm carving out a living.
I hope I grow my place
at a time.
Where I can just waste money on advertising and just not care about it. I'm not saying it's a waste, but I wish I could get to the point where I could advertise freely all over the place and just not even worry about it. You know what I mean? Right. Whether it's bringing money in or not, just we're advertising. Because I get asked everything you can think of, magazines and all this, like Tour With Us Kentucky and everything. I have to be really selective of what I pick, because that stuff like that can get away on you.
Oh yeah.
Before you know it, you spend a lot of money and you might not be bringing anything back in for it. Because advertising and what you put into your marketing is one of the hardest things to track, to see if what your return on investment actually is for it. Yeah. So
that's interesting. What other things might you do? I mean, I love coming up with ideas. What could we, do next and stuff like that. So, but are there things that you could do outside of, do opportunities come up with breweries where the partnership and can you make money off that kind of stuff? Or is there ever baking companies that want to use, your chug? Do you get paid for that? Like if Art Eatables makes bourbon balls and they use Neeley family, or are they just, buying the bourbon and that's the relationship? I don't know how that stuff works.
Yeah. Like for all the stuff that we've got co-branded out in our gift shop, we're essentially donating the product to them that they need. So the bourbon or the stave or the barrel, whatever it is. And then they sell it back to us at a discounted rate to where we can mark it up and make a good amount of money off of them.
Right.
And still be competitive in the market. And I'm looking at doing that right now with a maple syrup company. They want to get some of our barrels. They need 9 barrels to make 3 barrels of maple syrup. They triple barrel it. All this stuff. It's really cool. It's co-branded. And I think we're going to do some stuff with that. Same deal with the cigars. So that's kind of how it works for us.
Okay.
We send the stuff to them for nothing, and then we buy it back from them at a more discounted rate than what they would sell us let's say a Barton or a Buffalo Trace cigar for, and then it's co-branded with ours, and we get to mark it up and sell it. It's a win-win for both of us.
Yeah. I would assume the cigar thing has opened your eyes to this type of stuff, because those sell really well for you, don't they?
Yes, they do. I mean, and and I get it, because they run a business and they know what they have to do. But like, for instance, and we're still going to do some of them with this guy, but you had a fantastic idea of those little model distillery sets,
right,
from over in Ireland. Cool. I mean, they had Papal in it. He's a little action figure, an old brownie. Still, I mean, it was cool.
When can we start buying this stuff? I want my little Papal action figure.
But the guy's like, you got to take 500 or 1,000 boxes of it. I'm like, all right, I don't know how long it'll take me to move through it, but my problem is the storage afterwards.
Right.
It sits out there in my rick house. If it sits out in my storage, but if it doesn't get sold, I'm not sure if the boxes will make it through the winter when the humidity starts changing, because I'm in a really severely humid environment, and then the boxes fall apart, and then I've lost all of it.
Right.
So for me, it's always like, the most minimal, I'd rather pay more for it and be able to get a smaller minimum.
Right.
And make less on it. That way I can make sure I can actually sell through it, and then I can buy more afterwards. But I really like he did on this like a set. So it's, it's got like a wooden stand you set it up on, but it's an old brownie. It's all copper. It's made out of copper. It's beautiful, but it's going to be a hell of a Christmas ornament.
Okay.
We're buying them as going to be our Christmas ornament line that we do. And my mom loves that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. My wife does too. So that we just came, and she doesn't get to come with me to Kentucky very often, but we just did. And she bought a Christmas ornament at all the distilleries we stopped at because she wants to do a bourbon tree with Christmas ornaments. So yes, so we have one Neeley ornament. We got the barrel one, but we want to get some other ones. There's Dean the cat is now making an appearance. Does he want to say anything?
Yeah, Dean, what do you get to say? He's really taken a liking to me here lately. So he's laying. Good. You notice he's laying on me.
Yeah, he's laying by you. Yeah.
Yeah, not by Becky.
Not by Becky. He likes you. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah. That's how it always happens.
So you've got Dean the cat. Are you guys going to start getting some other pets now? Now that you've settled into the house?
I'm getting ready to start breeding possums. That's another thing we'll be doing out here. So I'm not against the possum. I'm not. There's going to be no birds in this home. I'm not dealing with
birds. Are you afraid of birds?
I'm not dealing with the chirping and the noise. It's bad enough when the cat wakes me up, and I like the cat. But a bird, I'm going to let him go out. You know what I'm going to do with the bird, Akeley? You know what I'm going to do with the bird. The Neeley's going to come out. I'm going to roll him outside. I'm going to let him out of his cage. He's going to take off flying, and I'm going to shoot him with a 12 gauge. That's what's going to happen to the bird.
That's terrible. That's a beloved family pet. You can't do that.
The beloved family crow.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to get sued for having Dr. James Crow here at my house.
I do feel like there are people who are afraid of birds, and I got to figure out if you are afraid of birds. If you have that,
I had a pet bird. I'm not afraid of birds. I like birds. I had a pet bird, a cockatiel, back when I was younger.
Right.
I had him for like 3 years. I like this bird.
Was it traumatic when he died? Is that where this issue stems out of?
He was a pain in the ass to keep up with, man. The old man hated him because he chirped every morning or whatever, whatever they do. He sung every morning. He was cool. He was a good looking bird, but he wasn't traumatic. when he died, it was like a kind of a relief because I didn't have to deal with him anymore.
Yeah. We had 2 of these when I was a kid. First one was great. Sam the bird. Sam was awesome. You could carry Sam around and, he'd sit on your shoulder and take him around. Sam was great. And then he passed away. And then, so we got Bingo was the next one. Bingo, horrible, terrible bird. Something was wrong with that bird. That bird just wasn't right. And that, again, relief when that thing kicked it, because it was terrible. It was, you get a good version of a pet, then you get a bad one. It's like, then we never wanted one again after that. Bingo ruined our bird ownership. So
I like animals. I had a bunch of them when I was a kid. We had a ferret once. These are all mine. I had a ferret once. They all developed a severe love for my mother.
Really?
Because she was with them all the yeah.
So I took care of them.
I probably ended up taking care of them more. Of course, I'm at school. It's not bad to take care of my animals, but like the ferret, it would ride around on her vacuum cleaner with her. So when she vacuumed, the ferret would sit on the vacuum cleaner. We ended up giving him to there's a lady that had like a whole family of ferrets, and he was lonely, and I was in high school at this point. They lived for a while. So we ended up giving him to her, and he went to have a happier life over in the ferret home instead, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, the bird, like I said, when it was over with the bird, I was glad it was over with the bird. And I didn't want no more parts of the birds. Birds are a lot of work to keep clean, and
they are.
They're kind of nasty. I did like that he rode on my shoulder. That was kind of cool. I would wear a hoodie around, put the hood up, he'd get in behind my neck. I like that. He was all right, but
yeah. But they're a pain in the ass when they get away from you, and because you can't. They're faster than you. They can fly high in the.
Yeah, you got to take them to get their wings clipped.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a whole thing.
I barely have any time. You know how it is. You like myself have way too many irons in the fire at every given time, and I don't have enough time to take care of an animal that's not a cat. I can't even take care of a dog right now.
Cats are easy. People hate cats, and I don't really understand why people hate cats. And I'm a cat person. But I do like dogs too, and I've had dogs, and I'd like to actually have another dog. I just don't. I'll
tell you why people hate cats, Akeley. All right.
Okay. Why?
I don't like a dog. A dog gives you its undivided attention for the most part. They're attention seeking. A dog is. It needs your love and your.
They always love you.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing about a dog.
A cat can be pissed off. Their cats will have a pissed off day sometimes.
You scream at a dog and it'll cower. If you're the man of the house, you scream at a dog, it'll go lay in the corner. Scream at a cat and see what it does. Right? A cat, you must earn a cat. Well, just like this. Right. This cat, it took a while to get to this point right here with this cat. Yeah. A cat, you have to earn it. You have to earn the respect of the cat. Right? It doesn't just give it to you. Right? You have to earn it.
Yeah.
It's an intelligent creature. I like the cat. personally.
I like cats too. Yeah, yeah. And the fact that MacLeod has 4 dogs, and so she's got to a point now. She fenced in her yard, and she just lets the dogs out, and they shit all over. And she's got a Mastiff, and she says it's like the size of a frisbee, then piled high. So now she found a company that comes and cleans up, only $20 a week, but she only gets it done once a week. Could you imagine 4 dogs shitting this time of the year, as hot as it is, and you're letting that stuff sit out there for a week? Who wants to even go in the backyard at that point?
Yeah, more power to people that like to have all these animals in the house. But I'm not saying that the house can't be kept clean with 4 dogs, but it's very hard to do. I mean, it becomes a full-time job to keep the home clean and smelling right and everything. And I like my house to be clean. I grew up in a clean home, and Becca keeps a clean house here, and Dean doesn't make too much of a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Cats they're just easy. You give them their little litter box, and here's how to train a litter box, train a cat. You buy the litter box. That's it. Even as kittens, they know how to. It's so simple. I don't know. It's just a superior pet to me.
Now, on the other side of it, I have contemplated a dog, and I brought it up to Becca a few times. Now, and it is strictly from the standpoint of I like the dog for security purposes.
That's nice. Security is good.
The dog will bark and wait. All I need is to be woke up. I can take care of things after that. Right. But I sleep really heavy.
And most, that helps out, being woke up. And most people, even if they hear the dog bark, won't fuck with the dog too. They'll be like, I'll go hit the next house. So that's good stuff about a dog.
And I don't need a big dog. I mean, this could just be a little dog.
Right. Just to wake you up.
Just something to wake me up, which, I mean, allegedly the cat, Becca says, will come stand on my back and prance on me to wake me up if he thinks something crazy is going on. So we'll see if this happens.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. I do like the idea of a dog too, being able to take it out. You're going up to the distillery. You're at your house. You got to go check on some things at the distillery. You grab the dog. You and the dog go down to the thing, and then you come back. That's kind of cool. A cat, you can't really do that with. No, you decide you're going to take them. They're going to run off somewhere else. You'll never find the cat.
Yeah,
so, dogs are.
The dog is man's best friend, you can see that, and they do love you, and they are cool. But I do like the cat. I liked your cat. I'm not trying to bring up bad dogs, but I like Leo. Leo was a cool cat. He's the first Maine Coon I've ever been around. He's a big cat.
Yeah, he was a great cat. So yeah, you do end up having some good pets and some bad ones. And I've had, as an adult, I've had myself 2 cats. I've had Spider and I had Leo, and they were both great cats. And then I had a dog named Dexter, great dog. But just I haven't had the lifestyle. Now I'm probably closer than ever to having the lifestyle where I could have a dog, because I, of course, work out of the house. I'm married, and I have a wife who now is, for the last year and a half, worked out of the house, and I don't know when or if she's ever going back. So it's almost like we could have a dog at this point, but we do still like to travel a little bit. And what do you? Yeah, what do you do?
That's the problem, is the traveling. Yeah. You and I both like to travel.
Yeah,
Becca likes to travel.
Right, and then
Dean can stay here for a week by himself. We got him the automatic feeder and the automatic water, and he's good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes it easy. A dog you couldn't do that with. So, yeah, that's an issue, and it might be okay with you because your parents do have pets, but my mom doesn't like dogs, so that'd be the person I'd have to lean on. Is my mom? I used to have a good situation where my friends, you might be that age, and you're probably still too young, but you'll get to an age where you've got friends and they've got kids, and that used to be the thing. So we'd go out of town, and I would have my friends' kids take over, and they'd be very responsible because usually their parents, they weren't old enough to drive or anything, so their parents would bring them over and they'd take care of the pets or whatever. And that was actually pretty cool. But now I don't have all my friends' kids are grown up and married, so.
Yeah, strange thing. I mean, my buddies were talking about this the other day. I don't know if it's my friend group. I'm very fortunate to have a friend group of guys that are pretty much all of them are incredibly successful for their age, and we all hang out together, and we've known each other our whole lives. But none of us have any kids, and I don't necessarily know. There's several in the group that say they're thinking about it, but we're all turning 30 now.
Right.
I mean, my generation is strange in the fact I feel like most of us are going to wait a lot longer in life to have kids, and I don't know if that's a result of the way that we grew up or what. But my life's essentially been in constant turmoil since I can remember. I mean, one of my earliest memories is September the 11th, and then on after that, it's just goes from one problem to the next. It seems like for the last 20 years.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see because it does change things, and you don't think it will. And initially, it's like there's no change. So, say you and three of your friends have kids, things probably don't change all that much. You do have a baby at home. You have to. You can't be out all the time like you were. That does change a little bit. But once the kids are a little bit older and don't need that constant care, you can hang out together. You can still get with your buddies and that. But as they get a little bit older, here's where it gets to be problems. Once they start having the baseball games and whatever it is they're doing, as a parent, you have to attend those things. They've got parent teacher conferences, and I don't know. Some of my buddies didn't take that stuff seriously, and I think it hurt their kids down the road. They have some issues. You got to be involved in that stuff. My parents were always involved in my stuff. I just always felt the need if she's got to play, and I don't want to see, spend an hour and a half listening to kids sing a Christmas thing, but you do it, you go and do it. It sucks, but you're a parent, you got to do that stuff. So
yeah, it's wild to me actually, because much like you, I grew up with two great parents that were involved in everything.
Right.
4 kids, they had 4 kids, and I don't necessarily think my mom and dad have ever missed a game of either one of ours. So we all played sports. Most of us multi-sport athletes, and 3 of us all the way up through college. It's crazy to me now as I run my business to think that my dad was able to be as involved in our lives as he was and still run a successful business.
Yeah,
because it's hard.
It's a commitment there. Yeah, it definitely is. The easy thing to do would be to ignore that stuff and not do it, but that's not the right parent move. And again, being a good parent, I think that's the secret to the success is giving your time. I think, and again, I've seen a couple of my friends, I think shamefully, prioritize themselves over their kids. I'm not going to change. I'm going to go to the lake every weekend. I'll leave it with the grandparents, and I'm going to go to the lake and party with the people, and we're going to drink, and things aren't going to change because and you can do that, especially if you've got parents that are willing to, the grandparents of the child willing to step in. But I don't think that's the best move. I think you have to.
I never actually saw my parents drink a drop until I was like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
Ever. There was no alcohol in our house. We went on vacations. The old man never had a drink. There was nothing. I mean, it was cold turkey there for a long time, which I can look back on now and appreciate the fact that he never chose alcohol over his family. So there's never a time when I thought to myself, my dad would rather go do this with his buddies or anything else than he would to be around his family. So looking back on it, I think that's the correct way to do it, but it was definitely a sacrifice that he had to make because, that equally, it wouldn't be easy.
Right. Yeah, I know. So what type of places did you go on vacation on as a kid? So I know as an adult you did Key West and stuff like that with your parents, but as a kid, where would they take you guys? Yeah,
one of the first ones I can remember, we always vacationed with Uncle Junior and Aunt Lori.
Okay.
And their family.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
that was the crew. Sandpiper Beacon, I think that was in Panama City Beach.
Okay. Your mom told me something I didn't know recently. She said the Neeleys do not vacation at the same place twice. They like to go around. I thought that's interesting. That's opposite to me. I like finding a place, finding cool restaurants, and then I like going back. It's like, oh, when I go to Sanibel Island, these are the restaurants I like to go to. Or when I go to Pensacola, I love going back to places. But she said you guys really are not into that as much.
I've been very fortunate that we got to take a family vacation pretty much every year. And went on a wide range of different vacations. Now I'm like you; I like going back. So this. I've been, I love going back
to Vegas. Yeah, you go to Key West.
I love going to Vegas. I don't even gamble, but I love the atmosphere of Vegas and being in Vegas. But mom and dad, they normally don't go to the same place twice.
Yeah. So that's, as she said that, initially I was like, why would you not? And then I was like, that's kind of cool because you're always forcing yourself to find something different, find something new, and experience different things. So
the only one
it's a different approach. It's just a different approach.
The only one of those that I missed that I really wish I would have went on. They tried to get me to go, and I could have went. I said it was because we were too busy at the distillery, and it was early on in it, but Cuba had just opened up.
Mm-hmm.
And mom and dad took the trip to Cuba. They did the cruise down and went to Cuba.
Yeah.
And loved it. They got to see Hemingway's boat.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. We love Hemingway. You and I both have a fondness for Hemingway.
Where he got to sit at and then We did a lot of his riding and everything. All that stuff is still preserved down there.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to went on that vacation. That's the only one that I really missed that they've went on in recent years. That besides that, I like going to the recurring stops.
What about the ultimate kid place? Did they ever take you to Disney?
Oh yeah, we went to Disney. Of course, I have a younger brother and sister.
Right. Yeah.
So I went to Disney when I was in like high school.
Okay.
So I vividly remember Disney. But yeah, we went to. It was always the Magic Kingdom though when we went. We didn't go to Epcot or the other ones. It was the Magic Kingdom the whole time, and I enjoyed it. Honestly, it wasn't bad. Went to SeaWorld once. I think we were down there.
SeaWorld. I like SeaWorld. I like a Disney vacation too. Some of the Epcot Center, you should have gone there. That place is really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I've heard that's really neat. I'm sure Becca likes Disney, and she likes Harry Potter and all that stuff.
I'll tell you what.
I'm not against these things either. I'm just saying she likes all this stuff. I would never go back to these places, but she's going to force me to go, and it's going to be a good time.
Let me tell you something. I hate Harry Potter. I don't know why. It's not my thing. I was too old. That wasn't around when I was a kid, and I think it's dumb. I'm not a fan. But my kid read those books. My wife's into those books, and they took me to that Universal thing. That was fantastic. Going to the Harry Potter world at Universal. It's cool, man. It's actually it's a neat place. And I don't know anything about the stories. I've never seen one of the movies or anything like that. It's just I'm experiencing it just what it is. By visually what I can see there, and it was cool. I had a good time there. So, and I think I don't know if it's open yet or they're working on it, but Disney's supposed to be doing the same thing with Star Wars, where it's like it's immersive. You go to like a Star Wars land, and there might have like the cantina like you see in the movie, stuff like that. So I would like to do that. It's open. Okay. Yeah. I haven't been down there in quite a while, but I'd like to go. That'd be something I'd like to do is go to the Star Wars world.
I like Star Wars. Obviously she likes Star Wars a lot. We actually got invited. A buddy of mine, the job that I worked right before I got the distillery open, when I managed down at the small factory down here, a buddy of mine who was in there with me, the same level I was, he left and he's like a VP at Coke now, but he's having a wedding. Yeah. And it's fantasy themed. So it's like a Renaissance wedding. Right? Okay. And I normally dodge weddings like the plague. I don't have a great track record with weddings. I've made a fool of myself at a couple weddings. Sure. Been in some fights at some weddings. I am going to Evan Van Spoik's wedding.
Yes, me too. But
I'm not going to
dress up, by the way. I will not dress up. I have a policy. I'll never wear a suit again in my life, other than if my kid gets married and she wants me to. If my kid says, "Dad, this means a lot to me and I'm getting married," I would wear it for that. But that's it. That's my only out. Other than that, I can no longer wear a suit. I'm going to be in jeans.
I normally tell people I'm going to their wedding and then I don't show up. So that's my normal thing to do. Yeah. But anyways,
they got to pay the caterer, $300 for your dinner. So that's cool. That's cool. I
don't want to be invited to anything. But anyways, Kyle Kelly also was notorious for doing this with me as well. But Kyle's is because he gets too drunk and can't make it to the wedding.
True.
So
true. I can see that.
It goes both ways. Yeah. But we are going to go to this one, and we're dressing up. So it's like Renaissance fantasy theme. So I'm going to be Han Solo, and she's going to be Leia. Star Wars.
Well, that's cool. That'll go over big. So it's not like medieval themed. It's anything fantasy. So the Star Wars is okay.
Yeah, you can do any of it there. Yeah, I think they're going to be like a king and queen or something, ain't they?
Yeah.
Something like the knight and the princess or something. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I could go to that one. Again, I don't know these people, but if I did know the people, I'm not into the dressing up.
Yeah, you just go as yourself, Nickly.
I know. That's what I always say. Why would I wear it's Chuck Taylor's, Tommy Bahama, one of my hats? I wear a costume every day, basically, right?
Do
you think when I retire from this, I give up all that? Maybe I get contacts and I shave the beard and just go back to being just a normal clown.
Retire back to corporate Steve.
I guess. I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead. What'll happen? I don't know.
Oh, that was the best. When I rode into your house for the first time, I look up above your mantle and there he is. There's the corporate Steve in all of his glory. Head of the household, wife there, side of him, the kid there with the braces.
Kid had the braces. She hated that photo because she had the braces and stuff.
She had the braces. There he is, corporate Steve in all of his glory. Man of the household.
Man of the house, overlooking the fireplace. Yeah.
Overlooking the fireplace.
Yeah, I took that down. I couldn't look at it anymore. And then what do you do? It's a huge thing. It's like 4 feet wide by 3 feet high. What do you do with something that's framed like that? And by the way, we used to have 2 houses. That same thing was hanging over the fireplace of both houses. So now I've got 2 of those huge things. I don't know what to do with it. If you want one, let me know for your new house.
We'll just put it in your bedroom here, Steve.
Put it in your bedroom. That would be nice.
We should hang in the bar. We could shoot it, Steve. We could target practice at it.
Yeah. I don't like that. So, but
the death of corporate Steve.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I hated corporate America, man. I was miserable. I was, and like I said, for a while, I mean, I played the game. I wanted to move up. I wanted to, do like my dad did. He worked for the same company I did. So we worked together for about 10 years, but I wanted, he was a vice president. That's what I wanted. I wanted to work my way up and be a vice president. And, when my career ended, I would get a pension and all that kind of stuff. Never happened. And at one point I finally got a boss who just told me how it is. It's like, nope, you've got a lot of skills. We need you, but you're never going to move up. And my attitude was horrible after that. I was hard to manage because I just told him how it is. I didn't have the beard like I do. I kind of look like I don't give a fuck now. I didn't look like that then, but I didn't give a fuck. And I would just tell him how it is. And I all these things I had done, I volunteered for all these committees and all that. I just quit all that stuff. And, some of them, they wouldn't let you, or they'd force you, and they voluntold you to do it. And I would just get in there and be like, I'm not doing this. And I don't know. Eventually, I got fired for my attitude, but it worked out.
Eventually, they fired me over it. But
yeah, and they got me, because I didn't want, I felt like I needed that money. They pay a lot of money, and I felt like I needed that. I couldn't imagine how can you possibly make up for a 6-figure salary, how doing what I'm doing. You're going back to the $1.32 I made because someone clicked on an ad in Bourbon Zeppelin. How can you ever get back to where you're at? And I thought, if I dedicate myself to it, and there are different things that I can do, and maybe I can get myself back there. And, I took the severance package that they gave me and was able to hang on and create something out of nothing, really, which is cool. It was really
cool.
Yeah. And what's one of the coolest things about me too is, again, no one makes a living off of me besides myself. But I do provide money for other people that can help out just by the little extra cool things in life, because everyone who works with me has a full-time job or whatever, and it allows them to get a little bit extra money by being on podcasts or helping out with the store like Justine does, or Tim Swyatt is hosting events. They make a little bit extra money that allows them to do the fun things in life, the cool things in life, because it's just extra cash.
We're also paying for all them to go to Key West. You were paying for the room.
Yeah.
I remember that before COVID happened.
Right. I did those sort of things. So yeah, try to make a difference in people's lives. Yeah. It's fun, man. I tell you what, doing this, I just wish I would have done it. I wish I would have never had a corporate career. I wish I would have spent those 20 years trying to make my way in bourbon back before we had blogs and stuff like that. Just, maybe trying to write a book or something, start going from there. That would have been cool. It didn't happen, but I just have to go on with what I've been dealt, Royce. I'm doing the best I can.
I just got a text from my father. The warm tub is complete for the old absinthe still. It just got dropped off down at the distillery. So it looks like I'm going to be loading that up, taking it to Vendome today.
Wow. This is getting very close then, isn't it?
Yes, we're getting there.
That's going to be a huge thing in your business. I truly believe that, for so many reasons. I feel like you've got such a great story to tell there with that still. I think people want to see that thing because it's like a Frankenstein's lab type of situation. It literally looks that cool. So yeah, you're going to have some fun with that. And I think it needs to go on some industry type of magazines. And I'm not talking just, we're used to appearing in Whiskey Advocate and stuff like that, bourbon focused. This needs to go into the bigger publications that, that cover all spirits, because it's absinthe. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool that we have it and the double gold at the same time. That really makes it unique. The fact that we're making what is, as of right now, you can say what you want to about it or argue what you want to, but as of right now, it's the most highly awarded absinthe that's ever been created in North America. Ah. And it's got the only absinthe still in North America. And that's a pretty cool thing to have, a real absinthe still.
Right. Exactly. When I saw that, so again, for those who might be listening to this and don't know the story, Adam Stump, who owns a place called Stumpy Spirits in Columbia, Illinois, right across the river from me in St. Louis. And, he's also a good friend, and I go over there, and he bought a new still in Belgium that was scrap. He found a still that they were getting ready to scrap out, and he ended up buying it and a bunch of other stuff. They filled 2 containers filled with stuff that was getting ready to go to the scrap yard. And he bought it all kind of sight unseen, pictures of some of it, not all of it. And he buys this stuff, and it comes over, and sure enough, there's this absinthe still in there. And he was going to use it to make gin or something like that. I think
gin.
Yeah. Yep. But when I saw that, I immediately called you, and you were interested in it right away. And Stump, he wasn't really into the idea of selling it, was he at first?
No, I harassed him about it.
Yeah,
a little bit. I wouldn't push you or anything. I just expressed my interest in it and everything. And he told me he was going to make gin with it. I get it, because he makes his gin in a manner that is like the way you make absinthe. So he macerates inside of the pot, and that still would be good for that, because it's got a basket in it to pull the botanicals out and everything. And I think I was developing my absinthe at the time. And we went to a card game at Bourbon's Bistro, and Jessica Ann was there, and I let her try it. And was telling everybody about what we were doing with developing this absinthe. And then I think she went to Stumpy's place like the next day and was like, "Oh, you need to sell that to Royce Neeley."
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't tell her to go do that. She just went and done it.
That's cool. Yeah. And then you won the gold too. And then it had to happen, right? And then he was like,
well, he called me. I won the double gold, and we posted online. Stump's a friend of mine and a good guy to be around. And
though you don't return his text messages,
I called him yesterday.
He told me you don't. He had to contact me to say, "Why won't Royce return my texts?" And I was like,
"Yeah,
he's at that level. This is what we have to expect. We're here. It's happening, Adam."
I called Stump yesterday, and he was dropping his kid off at preschool. He just got done meeting the preschool teacher, which I thought was funny. And then I got online today on Facebook and saw the photos of the little girl going to preschool. So Charlotte, she's in preschool. Yeah, so I think that's cool. But anyways, I told him, I explained to him that I had 100 unread text messages on my phone at this current time, and to just give me a phone call. I do better with phone call. I don't like text messages. My dad and my grandfather bitch at me all the time because they're like, "Oh, you're always on your phone." They think I'm on my phone playing around. They don't understand that I work through my phone a lot of times.
Yeah.
And it's broke me of the habit of doing text. I'm telling you, it's broke me of texting.
Okay.
So I get tired of listening to it.
Yeah. But there's no prioritization to your texts. I mean, I get 100 texts, but so they're all equal. All 100 texts are equal. It doesn't matter if it's, throw out a name. I don't know. Campbell Brown of Brown Foreman would be. What's that?
Guess who always gets a text back? Freddie No.
Oh, okay. There's priority 1. Freddie No. Amazing.
That's actually I looked at his phone and I said, "Freddie No text you." He texted back and he goes, "What?"
2 days ago.
So even Freddie has to deal with this. Okay.
There's no prioritization with it. I've got to do it because I don't want to. I'm not trying to hurt people. I've noticed now that it's come up, not with Stump, but through a couple other people that for some reason they reach out to you about it, which I'm glad they do because I don't want them to be upset. But people are getting angry. They're getting upset about it. They think I don't like them or something. So I've got to get on here, take some time, and make sure I go through my damn phone every day amongst everything.
You're the worst because you talk like it's no big deal and it doesn't matter. But let's go back to that situation. One of the people that reached out to me and said Royce didn't text me back, and you go back and it had been like 2 months. You hadn't responded to the text. Legitimate. So you send a text, and then the next day you're like, hey, she hasn't responded to me. She hasn't texted me back. But do you think she's mad at me? You're doing the exact same thing that she was doing. So
I get a lot of people that don't text me back.
You don't text them back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I honestly thought I was a pretty good communicator, but apparently I'm not.
Definitely not. No, text is, definitely not your thing.
Call me. If you call me, I'll pretty much call every single number back that calls.
That is true.
It is. Seriously, I call every single number back. You got to remember, I don't have a secretary either. So every phone call that comes to the distillery goes to me.
But shouldn't you realize that texting is better because it allows you to prioritize something a little bit. When it's at its best, if I send you a text and you're busy finishing something up, you can finish that up and then you can check the text and then you can send me a message back. And that's how it should work. With a phone call, you've got to stop what you're doing at that moment in time and pick it up or choose to ignore me, which is no different than ignore me on text. So that doesn't really accomplish anything for me.
Sorry, I was ignoring you again. My wife just walked naked through the room, so it's my bad. I was ignoring you again there, Akeley. But yes, I should prioritize my texts. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I'm pissed at you because she's better at angling the camera to capture people in the background than you are. So you didn't capture any of that. So, yeah.
Well, she don't care about.
We recently did an event, and there's Royce strolling through the background in his underwear.
In front of Molly Wellman. And I could see by her face she saw it, and then the other lady Vicky saw it. I don't know about the other people because not necessarily everybody even has that screen mode on, because when you're on Zoom, you can either have the gallery, which shows everybody, or the speaker. If you're doing the speaker, you weren't on that because Becca wasn't talking. The only way that would have popped up if Becca was talking, she wasn't. It was Molly who was talking at the time. But if you have it on the gallery view, then you see everybody's. And right away, Tim Swyatt sends a message. "Ooh, I think Adonis just walked through here." Thank God I wasn't naked. Oh God! I thought she had it on mute. Why would you not have the screen?
It was so great. Her face when you do, because she jumps up. Becca, I'm talking, jumps up and tilts it, and then she's like got her hand is over her face, and gosh damn, that's.
Well, when you're married to me, a feeling.
We should release that. That should be out there for the world to see.
She's used to that feeling. When you're married to me, a feeling of disgust and embarrassment, your hand over your face. That's a pretty normal thing you have to deal with.
It was gold because you see that stuff. You can go to YouTube and be like Zoom fails, and it's all kinds of stuff like that. People walking in the bathroom, and even worse stuff. That happens. You strolling by in your underwear would be more along the lines of funny. There's some obviously horrible things that you see in the background, and I don't even understand what people are doing. Yeah, so dumb. But these things happen, and I sent out a image of Captain Underpants. You didn't respond to that text either. Becca did.
I saw it though. Yeah, I did see it.
It was funny, right?
It was funny. There it is. I'm trying to let it blow over. I want it to end.
I'm sure it will. So yeah. Although that show will be coming out. Again, the show being a podcast, so it's only audio. Obviously, you don't see anything there, but we talk about it, of course. We talk about it. So there'll be those that weren't in attendance. But we'll probably get a boost on our attendance of our cocktail contest throws moving forward. So
you probably won't have anybody show up to them anymore.
That could be too. We'll see. Well, it's either going to be a full room or nobody. So
yeah, you let Becca walk through there naked. Yeah, you'll get a boost in attendance. You send me through there, my underwear, my socks on. Probably not.
Yeah. So what other things you got planned for this year? I mean, any trips? Anything exciting coming up?
No, I don't really have anything per se planned for the year. We got the Distillers Summit next year in early January. But I plan to be around the distillery for the rest of the year. Working. So we've got a lot to do. Mountain Distillery launched. I'd like to have it launched this year. Right. So, I moved it to early summer, and then I moved it to the summer, and now I just want to get it done this year. And we are actively working on it now. So I'm hoping we get her up and going and get that took care of.
Yeah. So once that place opens up, how often do you think you'll be there personally?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really love the area, so it's going to be nice. It's going to be, it's like taking a little miniature vacation throughout the week just to go stay down there because I have a place to stay at in it. And I hang out with Matt Wright while I'm down there and everything. And so I don't know. It's going to be cool.
It's going to be cool.
Yep.
And we were at the Beattyville Festival, and on the stage you announced there may be a third distillery opening too. So there could even be something in the works.
There could.
Yeah, where you've got
whether it's the one that I was meaning at the time, which that one we'll see what's going on with that. I'm still trying to secure the property, which these things take time, and I'm just not sure. I'm already spread myself too thin.
Yeah.
And,
oh yeah.
I got to make sure that I don't let that affect the two businesses that are, providing me and Rebecca and my family a living. But we'll see. Regardless if I don't do this third one or if I do, I will eventually launch a third one. My goal is to have those multiple distilleries, and I've got a good idea. I mean, I have a great plan around this third one. So you've heard it. It's a phenomenal business idea. It's got great marketing and advertising behind it. It does have the potential to be sued by a major company, but it'd still be pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be pretty cool. Again, it's going to be a big difference. So I think that at that point, there's probably some major changes that need to occur. I mean, because you do a lot of the things now that I don't know that you can do with 3 distilleries. Paperwork, I'm talking,
Yeah, I do the job. I honestly do the job. But normal distilleries, they have, there's only multiple owners, right? Or multiple people in ownership or real upper level management. At least distilleries my size. And one of them is like the business guy. Right. He makes the deals. He handles the money. He does all that. The other one, they do the reporting. They take care of the reports and it's like a secretary and the emails and all that good stuff like that. And then, the third one, a lot of times is your distiller, your creative guy.
Right.
Either your master distiller. I happen to do all 3 of these jobs myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And, my business is now doing 3 times more than what it was 2 years ago. And I've got another one that's about to open up. And, I had 3 employees 2 years ago, and now I've got around 16 at any given time. And, I'm overwhelmed. So I've got to figure something out with it.
Right.
And it's really, for me, I don't ever want to get, I think I'm always fine for the rest of my life, really. Being the distiller, I love being the distiller and the creative guy, and I never, ever, ever want to not be the money man. I always want to be the business. I want to be handling my own finances and dealing with that stuff. But I would like the reporting and the secretary and the phone calls and a lot of that stuff like that. That's going to be pushed on to somebody else or delegated out.
And again, this isn't happening. This is it's not imminent for a third. But let's talk if you did have 3. Would you also have to have someone help distilling? Because now you talk about you're the distiller, but with 3 locations, with all distilling, different products and things like that, would you also? And you could be the master distiller, you could be the person in charge, but are you going to have an assistant distiller at each location, or how would that even work?
Yeah, and I still run. I mean, obviously, my grandfather helps me out a ton here at the distillery now. He does a lot of our contract distilling. He oversees that for me every day, which eats up a lot of hours for me and helps me a ton. And I've been working some of my guys. Most of it, that's honestly why our tours are so good, is Eric Tharp and Matthew Wright and even Tony. They go back and pump mash for me, or they move things around and do this. So they get to give good tours because they actually do the work back there and doing some of the distilling with me.
Yeah.
But when we open the second one up here, the Mountain Distillery, as of right now, I've got a verbal with Donnie Benton that he's going to help do the distilling down there. Okay. And then I've got Matthew Wright, who I'm very comfortable with running his own distilling operation as it is now, being able to oversee that for me.
Right.
So yes, I will have to have help. The third one would have to have the same. So there would be a distiller on site. I had some ideas as to who I could use for that, and I've got another couple good young guys here that work for me that would be great candidates for that. But yeah, my job at that point would be making sure that the consistency is there in what we're making. So I'm not physically doing the work. I'm not pumping the mash or even at that point, even making the cuts daily. But I'm getting the guys set up and I'm overseeing it to say, hey, look, you're doing the cuts correctly here. Hey, the beer's working off just fine. The yeast, the fermentations are looking good. And then teaching these guys how to maintain the quality that I expect.
Right. Right.
And that's a job all in itself.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be able to get away and go to Key West if all this happens?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my distillery down here now runs the gift shop and everything runs fine. I honestly don't have to be there at the distillery every day.
Right.
I do have
nice, right?
I do have to be there. Yeah, I'm talking about for the gift shop to run. Now, for the distilling and things like that to happen, my presence needs to be there. But, you know, if I'm running the three of these, I probably have to have a person that's with me, pretty much full-time assistant, that would handle the and their main job, besides helping to keep me straight on what I have going on, would be to do all the reporting.
Yeah.
So, because with any distillery, if you go talk to, I just talked to Peg down at Casey Jones. She told me she spends literally all of her time down in front of the computer
doing reports and stuff.
That's what it is, man. I mean, it almost turns you into a damn corporate job.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the offshoot of, doing a business with so many government regulations, right?
Highly, highly regulated.
Yeah. And then you get, you got state and local level stuff you got to deal with too. So it never ends, right?
It doesn't. Most businesses just worry about dealing with the IRS. I worry about dealing with the IRS, the FDA, the TTB, Department of Revenue, local, and all this crap. So it's a highly, highly regulated, and honestly doesn't need to be as regulated as it is. But the government's relied on money from the booze business since the founding of our country. So,
right, yeah, amazing to think about. What was that?
That was a semi truck that went by.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. So, long term, you're in this for the long haul, right? I mean, it's weird to think about, but as you get bigger, if you have 3 distilleries and they're all doing well, there's going to be people knocking on your door. And I think you always take those meetings, but are you walking in thinking there's no way, or at some point would you consider selling out?
No, I have no desire to sell out. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing about it: if I did sell out, much like they have with Steve Beam and things like that, I have to still be here.
Right. And
it's just not happening. Nothing against building a business up to sell it out or even selling it out. And it's a great move. And it definitely, a lot of times secures your longevity and your place in the market. But I plan to work on this till I die.
Yeah.
I'm serious about that. I can do this till I absolutely die. Whether that's my grandfather's age, it's, and they getting ready to be in the 80s, or whether it's 10 years from now, whenever that is, I plan to do this till I die. I'll be the pain in the ass that's in the rocking chair in the back, giving everybody orders, and they're just, all the relatives are waiting for me to die so they can get me out of there and take over. That's probably where I'm going to end up at.
You think that's your future?
This is the way I've always done it. Yeah, it's going to be like that.
Right. Well, hopefully you leave it in a good place, and you find someone that's just as motivated and loves what you're doing as much as you've loved what you're doing at Neeley Family Distillery, and it continues on for generations then.
Yep. It was the whole thing, even the branding and everything that I've designed this place to be around, and our mission statement, we're making authentic Kentucky. It's simple. When I sit down and I thought of what do I want my distillery to be, and it was really cool to win the award from the ADI the other day, because he used that, and I didn't tell Bill Owens this, but he used that word in the award that he gave us. But Neeley Family Distillery is authentic. That's what it is. And I built every single thing that I've done has been built around that. From the spirits that I make, to the tours that we give, to the way my gift shop's set up, to even to the damn guys that I hire. It's not fake. It's not commercialized. It's authentic. And it was cool to win that award for most authentic moonshine tour from Bill Owens, because obviously I've made an impression on the president of the ADI. He gets it. I mean, he came in here and did the tour and realized that it was an authentic tour. That's what I wanted. Authentic Kentucky spirits. That's our branding.
Yeah. Probably the most important generation of distilleries, probably the second generation to take over, because that's going to be when things really either come together for Neeley Family Distillery. Is this a long-term thing that the Neeleys from 10 generations from now can continue to make money off this, like the Beams have done? Or is it something that is a business that you built up did a great job with it, built it up, and then sold out, and then you go on with your lives and you all do something else, or maybe just live off the money, depending on how successful you are. Generations can live off that, and it'll be interesting to see, because that transition to the next generation, whatever that is, whether it's your own heirs, whether it's other family members, whether it's just a trusted business partner that you take on that you think they'll be the caretaker of this. It'll be interesting to see, and you're going to play a very important role in that too, Royce, because how do you transition out at some point? Are you like Bill Samuels Jr., where you still got gas left in the tank and you step aside to let Rob take over, where he could still be there for Rob? Or do you just do things, you're in charge, you're the guy running the show, doing everything until the day you drop dead, and then someone has to figure out, okay, now I got to be Royce Neeley, I got to do all this stuff. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds. I won't be there for all that. I'll be dead, but someone will be watching this and reporting on it from the Bourbon media.
Yeah, it'll be, hopefully, once again, like most distilleries, we're still a young business. I mean, we're about to be, teetering on that point of being 5 years old, and, we're doing really well right now, and hopefully it continues. But I mean, we can, it's a long stretch to get to that point.
I know. But I think it's okay to put that aside, to kind of table that. This isn't anything we need to worry about. But at the same time, I think you always need to think about it too. It always has to be in the back of your head. Where do we go from here, and what's this going to happen, and what's the end date on this, for me and for the company and all. I think I just need to think about those things all the time, even though it's not the priority and it's not something that you're working actively on today. I do think, what's the future, and how do we get there? I think it's good to do.
Yep, I agree.
That's why I said, and I still think you should do this. I think you need to plant some oak trees, a grove of oak trees, and you could do that now. You're almost 5 years in, that grow for 95 years, and those are designated to be coopered to make the barrels for your 100th anniversary celebration. Even though it's something that you probably won't be at yourself, I think that's
you can bury my ass under them.
Yeah, you could fertilize those trees. You could be part of the terroir of that comes out through those barrels. So. Be pretty cool, my friend. This business is neat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Papaw keeps telling me he wants us to put him in a barrel when he dies and just put him in the rick house and age him. So
he thinks a lot about that shit, because he told me he could kill me and chop me up and put me in one of those barrels and no one would ever find me. So
yes, he does.
Pleasant to think about, isn't it?
Let me tell you something about that old man. The mind is always working, and sometimes it's in some places that you wouldn't think it would be at. So just chopping you up, basically, and getting rid of you.
Yeah. So there you go. I would definitely have to be in a 53 gallon. So not one of those 30 gallons. I just need some comfort. I need some ability to move around.
Depends how much we chop you up.
Yeah. Come on, man.
You got to remember too, head and hands going a different barrel.
Well, buddy, you didn't think you could do this. You were freaked out about this. Could we do a show? Where are the questions? And no, it's not about that. This is about two people talking. It's chatting with. That's the name of the show, and that's what we did. We chatted.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody want to listen to you and me, but yeah, we did.
I don't know either, but marketing wise, yeah. Would anybody like this? But then I think about myself. I'd like to hear two people chatting that are from an industry that I love. So I don't know. We'll throw it out there and see what happens. Maybe no one will listen to these, and but maybe they will. So we'll see. It's something different. It's new to the ABV network. I hope you're enjoying it. And Royce, I think it's pretty special for you to be with our first one. So I appreciate you being part of it, man.
I'm glad to be a part of it, Steve.
Where can people follow this journey? So they want to get involved. They want to visit you. They want to learn more. Where do they need to turn to get that sort of information?
They come to the distillery in Sparta, Kentucky, or they can go to Neeley Family Distillery on Facebook or Instagram, or they can go to NeeleyFamilyDistillery.com.
So, all right. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this one up, and we'll do it as we always do by talking about where people can find us. For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, SteveAkeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's ABVNetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, podcasts, so much more. ABVNetwork.com. Come by and see us, the ABV Barrel Shop. We are here in Arnold, Missouri, a St. Louis suburb. We'd love to show you what we've got in terms of barrel picks. You can taste before you buy here. Pretty cool. At a very minimum, sign up at abvbarrelshop.com for our email and text distribution. And please get involved with the show. Head over to patreon.com/the ABV Network and give us a 5-star review. It helps new people find the show. That's pretty darn important to us. On that note, we will let you go for today, but we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya. Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neeley Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neeley Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.